Yesterday, we got a shocking update in the case involving the 3 Kansas City Chiefs fans that were found frozen to death in their friend's backyard. Now, this update caught everyone by surprise because I had covered this story when it was originally going on over a year ago, but we had not gotten any updates on this case in over a year. So I figured that it was over and done with. Nothing was going to be done. No one would be arrested. But now here we are. 2 arrests have been made. And one of these gentlemen is very familiar if you've been following this case, Jordan Willis. He was one of their friends. He was described as the chemist by some in town who said that he used to supply people with stuff, or he would mix, certain drugs together for them and all this other stuff. Allegedly. Now, we know about Jordan Willis, and he was arrested, or they said that he was going to turn himself in. Now he has, and we have his mugshot right here for you all. But another man was arrested as well by the name of Ivory J. Carlson. Now, this is a new character, to this story. I was not aware of this man. Now, mind you, I covered this story like a year and a half ago. I've covered so many stories since then. Some details are foggy. I remember mentions of other people possibly being there, but this Ivory guy was never mentioned. This is the first time we're hearing about this Ivory guy, but he allegedly admitted that he sold cocaine to Willis, Harrington, McGinney, and Johnson. The 3 men who were found dead, and of course Jordan Willis, the one who somehow survived all of this. Everyone's wondering how he survived, but his lawyer did release a quick little statement. It has been a very, very long year for Jordan. He's lost his job. He's lost his home. He's lost his friends. The public are pointing at him as someone who essentially killed them, and nothing could be further from the truth. Now, everyone was pointing fingers at Jordan for the most part. I'll be honest about that. But not everyone was saying, oh, you killed your friends in cold blood and stuff like that. I mean, when you have 3 men found frozen to death in your backyard, and they've been in your backyard for days on end, and you're in the home refusing to answer the door for anyone, of course people are going to look at you like, hey, you, at the very least, had some knowledge about what went down here. I remember the family of some of the gentlemen who were found dead in the backyard. They went and banged on this man's door. They knocked on his door, and he would not answer. I believe some of the vehicles belonging to the 3 men were still parked outside of his home, but Jordan would not answer. Jordan finally came to the door once police came, and when he came to the door, I think he was holding I remember he had headphones on, and he was acting nonchalant and casual, right? And I'm sorry, I never fully bought that he didn't know what was going on. I do think there's a possibility that he partook in the same substances as everyone else, and maybe he was knocked out asleep for a couple of days. But I don't know. I just kind of find that somewhat hard to believe, but anything is possible. Now here we are, and Jordan Willis is behind bars. There's some more information I want you all to hear. I'm going to roll this news clip really quickly, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
Now face charges in Platte County in the deaths of 3 men found frozen behind a Northland home more than a year ago. I'm John Holt.
I'm Lauren Halifax. They were at a friend's house to watch a Chiefs game. One friend is one of the 2 men charged. Fox 4's Malik Jackson has been on the story since it broke. He's in Platte City tonight. Malik, any response from the victims' families?
Yeah, I've spoken with several members of these men's families, and they tell me this is a huge relief off of their shoulder, huge weight off of their shoulder more than a year after this all transpired right here in Platte County. We do now know that 2 men, Jordan Willis and Ivory Carson, have been charged each with 2 counts of distribution of a controlled substance and 3 counts of involuntary manslaughter in the deaths of Ricky Johnson, Clayton McGinney, and David Harrington.
Today's charges are the product of hard work of Kansas City detectives and prosecutors over those many months.
14 months after this case got national attention, it's now one step closer to its conclusion. On Wednesday, the Platte County Prosecutor's Office announced 5 felony charges against 2 men, Ivory Carson and Jordan Willis. Willis for purchasing and Carson for supplying the drugs that led to the death of Clayton McGinney, Ricky Johnson, and David Harrington.
Members of the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department do not give up on these investigations. While this happened a year ago, our detectives continued to work on this case to get it to the point that we're at today.
The state says the 3 men gathered together with friends at Harrington's home. Then the party moved to Willis's home, where drugs, including cocaine, fentanyl, and marijuana, were used. The men were not heard from for almost 2 days until McGinney's fiance arrived at Willis's home, where she discovered one body and called the police. The other 2 bodies were later found, all 3 outside in the backyard of the home Willis was renting. Both men now face up to 50 years behind bars if convicted in this case.
This case is a tragic reminder of the dangers of street drugs. But make no mistake, the people who supply those drugs can and will be held accountable.
In a statement, the father of Ricky Johnson, Rick Johnson, tells me, "I am happy with the Platte County Prosecutor's Office and the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department for filing these charges. It's been a long time, and I'll be at every court date." We also reached out to Willis's attorney, John Percerno, who has not shied away from the camera for a response to these charges after saying multiple times that his client would not be charged, and we haven't heard back by the time of this report.
Now, there's one detail that really stuck out to me from the press conference. I mentioned this in my past video, but I want to mention it here as well, because from what we've been told, law enforcement found 2 separate bags, and in one of those bags there was cocaine, and in another bag there was fentanyl. Now, the reason that sticks out to me is because both of these substances were being kept separate. They were separated from each other, which lets you know that someone along the line, regardless if it was Ivory, the dealer, or if it was Willis, the chemist, or if it were the 3 men who passed away, someone knew that there was a difference between these 2 bags. That's why one substance was in one bag, one substance in the other. Now, I thought this entire time that they most likely snorted some coke, and they thought it was coke, but it turned out to be fat, and that's what killed them. That's kind of what I assumed, right? But the fact that the bags are separated could indicate that maybe someone, maybe not everyone, but someone knew that there was a difference. Now, people have alleged, people have claimed that Jordan is the chemist. So was Jordan the one that was in charge of, okay, I'm going to give you this much coke and then I'm going to put this much fat in it. Don't worry, it's not lethal. Was he the one trying to mix stuff together? Because apparently from what we've been told, the bag was not mixed together already. Now, if the bag was already mixed together, then one could say that, hey, Jordan didn't know either. No one knew. Everyone was just having what they thought was a good time, and they didn't know that there was these other substances within the substance that they thought they were taking. But that's not the case from what we've been told. It's separated. So that's a big deal to me. Because, hey, maybe everyone knew what they were getting themselves into. These are all grown men. Maybe everyone knew what they were getting themselves into. Maybe everyone knew they were going to do a little bit of fat. I hope not. But maybe they knew that. But at the very least, one of these 4 individuals knew. And I'm assuming that the dealer knew as well. So yeah, that sticks out to me a lot, because was Jordan the one dosing this stuff out, telling people, hey, it's going to be okay, don't worry? Is there a possibility that Jordan partook in some of these substances and then went to bed, and then these men were partaking in the substances and didn't realize that, hey, there was one thing in one bag and one in the other? Because I'm still curious as to why Jordan was asleep safe in his bed, but these 3 men were all found frozen to death in the backyard. I'm very curious as to how they got in the backyard. Now, some would say, hey, maybe they got hot and they ran outside. There's a lot of different, theories and explanations, but part of me still wonders if they were placed outside, if they were dragged outside, or something along those lines. I just wonder if Jordan had knowledge that something happened to his friends and he panicked and he put them outside to make it look like they just froze to death and there was no drugs involved while he went to sleep in his home. But, you know, there is, like I said, there's a big possibility that Jordan partook in the same stuff and just knocked out, and he survived because he was in the house, knocked out for a couple of days, while everyone else was, for some reason, some odd reason, we're in the backyard in freezing temperatures. Doesn't really make sense, but either way, all three of those men ended up in the backyard, OD'd off the same stuff that Jordan was supposedly taking too. So, very confusing, very odd situation. I'm glad that some people are being held accountable. I still think there's some unanswered questions when it comes to this case. Not fully confident that we're going to get answers. I feel like a lot of the answers in this case obviously lie with the people who aren't here with us anymore, so therefore they can't provide those answers. And I don't think Jordan's going to be fully honest about anything that happened either. So we'll just have to wait and see. And who knows how long we'll have to wait. We had to wait like a year and a couple of months to get this. You know what I mean? But luckily we got something. So investigators are working on this case. They're working slowly, but they're working. So maybe in the year 2028, we'll have some more answers. But for now, let me know your thoughts down below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next video.